And hello, everyone. Welcome to another virtual event with Mysterious Galaxy. Today, we have the wonderful author who has been in our store many times before, couldn't be with us today in person, but you know what? Thankfully, the internet gods are with us, and we have her virtually. PC Cast, hello!
Hi, you guys. Man, I really wish I was there with you in person, because I do love me some San Diego, too. But it's wonderful to be there virtually with you guys, and I bet your weather is better than ours right now. So, because San Diego
it's quite hot. It's quite hot right now.
Is it warm? Okay, well then maybe not. Okay, but I still wish I was with you. Okay, so because not only do I love Mysterious Galaxy, but y'all have several of my very favorite restaurants in San Diego. So
I'm not gonna lie, we have some good food.
There, you guys have some awesome food. Awesome food. Plus, you have a lot of military personnel there, which is always fun to sightsee on the beach.
Yes.
Anyway, thanks everyone. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. For those of you who may be tuning in and have not read any PC Cast books, she is a #1 New York Times and #1, I know, that's a shock, #1 USA Today bestselling author who has more than 20 million books in print. Oh my gosh, in over 40 countries.
It's 25 million now. It's 25 million.
We need to update your bio.
I know.
She's written the widely popular House of Night series, as well as many other YA, fantasy, and paranormal romance books. Today, though, we are talking about her latest release, Into the Mist. Look at this.
Whoa.
If you haven't yet...
Can you open up and show them the beautiful... Oh, my gosh. Sabine Sankenberg did that gorgeous map. Because, like most of my books, the action takes place based in real settings. And this one's here in Oregon. Yeah.
I love books that include maps. They're just such a fun detail, and it allows the reader just to keep like tracing along, like, oh, this is what they're talking about. Oh, okay, I understand that.
I love it too. And as I'm reading it, I'm always like flipping back to the front and going, where are they? What's happening? I really like them too.
I'm not going to talk too much about this book because I'm going to let PC do that. But for a book that is tagged as Practical Magic meets Station 11, I think that's a pretty good draw.
Pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Very accurate.
If anyone out there hasn't yet got their copy, you'll notice a link below that says Buy Into the Mist and get a signed book plate, because PC has been wonderful and supplied those to us. So we will have those with your book, either pick up or mail out, because we do mail outs pretty much all around the world. If you have any questions that you want to ask.
You guys are international people.
We are.
Overseas can order from you? Oh, good. I'll make sure I post that on Facebook afterwards, because I always have that question from lots of people. Thank you. Good. Awesome.
Yeah, not a lot of independent bookstores seem to do so. People are like super surprised when we do it. Oh, yeah, we've been doing it for quite a while.
Good. Okay. I should know that. I've been with you guys for a really long time.
Well, now you learned something new today. And it looks like we already have one person who submitted a question. Great job. If you have any other questions that you want to ask later on, I'll pop back on and ask those to PC. Link below says ask a question, submit them, and we'll get to them. Until then, I'm going to disappear for now and let PC Cast take it away.
Okay. Hi, you guys. I'm so glad you're here. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how this book came into being. And please, as I'm doing it, if you guys have questions, go ahead and type them in, because the Mysterious Galaxy folks will read them to me, because I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see them. Because if I put my glasses on, then all you see is a reflection of the stupid donut light. But I can see myself. I just can't read stuff. Okay, y'all know what I mean? But I thought I would tell you first how this book came into being, because it's a fun story, but fun kind of verging on hysteria kind of fun story. In early spring 2020, when we were all dealing with the beginning of the horrible Rona apocalypse, and it was awful. I had just had surgery on my shoulder, which is fine now. As everyone can see, I can lift my arm and do all sorts of things. But I know a lot of my fans know that I had a really bad horse accident a few years ago, and that I'm all healed from it. But healing from it was surgery. So I had to go back home to Tulsa for surgery. Then I flew on February 14th, 2020. I flew back here to Portland, where I live most of the time now. And then the Rona hit. So not only was I immune compromised from surgery, but it was the Rona. Okay. I was so damn scared. So I'm completely isolated. And at first I couldn't write because I'd had major surgery and I couldn't write. But then I healed well enough, and I had deadlines after deadlines after deadlines as per normal. And I tried to write and I couldn't. And a friend of mine in the business then, in the publishing business, said to me, I was like, I can't write. Oh my God, what's going on? I don't know what I'm going to do. And she said, it's existential dread. And she said a lot of authors, a lot of creatives are having a big problem right now, trying to do anything that involves getting into that zone, you know, guys, that zone you fall into where everything for me is like a TV show I'm watching or a really fabulous movie. But I couldn't find that place. And she was like, it's okay, relax, it's fine. So I've been a vegan since like 2011 or something. And so I hadn't had real cheese in many years, but I thought the world was ending. So what I did for the first several months of the Rona while I was healing was sit on my couch, watch tons of TV, eat cheese and drink wine and smoke weed. That was me recovering. I was recovering. The cheese was not very good for me, though. I've since cut that out. God knows I'm not cutting any of the other things out, though. But so I was frustrated, though, by not being able to write because I could almost always escape into my book worlds. So I thought about it for quite a while. And then I decided that I was going to do what I did when I wrote my very first book that was published, Divine by Mistake, originally published as Goddess by Mistake. And I wrote that book to escape a really horrible marriage. And so I kept sliding into the Divine by Mistake, into Partholon, into my fake world, my fictional world then. And I thought, you know what? If I can write the book, if I ignore my deadlines for a while and I just write the book I most want to read right now, maybe I can snap out of this existential dread and I can really write. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try to do that. And then on top of the Rona, here in Portland, in the Pacific Northwest, in the summer of 2020, we had those horrible wildfires. And I know that y'all are dealing with them in Northern California now too, right at our southern border. They're terrifying, they're awful. And I am very afraid of fire. When I was in my family was in a really bad fire. You guys can't really see it because I'm old now. But I have a scar here, and I have scars on my hands. You can't see this because I have tattoos on my hands. But I have scars from a fire. I was in a major fire. So I was terrified of the fire, of the Rona, and then the smoke enclosed Portland. And we literally couldn't go outside without like triple masking. And then it was like limit the time outside. Guys, the weather report said it was supposed to be like 96 for one of the weeks, days after days. And it was in the 60s. That's how much smoke was covering it was horrible. So I was like, girl, you need to escape. So while I had towels rolled up like under the door jambs and I was boiling, if you boil big things full of like cedar and peppermint and lavender, it really helps with the smoke in your house. So I was doing that. I went down and I'm like, I'm going to write the book I most want to read. And I love reading apocalypse books. And but I can rarely find characters, especially female characters, with whom I can empathize well with or fully with in most apocalypse books. So I was like, I'm going to write my own. I'm going to write my PC apocalypse. And that is what I did. And when I started doing that, the existential dread went away. I was able to focus and slip right back into the zone. And I wrote the vast majority of Into the Mist during that horrible smoke apocalypse and all that. And I decided that what I would do is create my... You know why I'm laughing if you've already started or read the book. I decided to create the PC apocalypse. And the PC apocalypse happens here in the Pacific Northwest. All the places are for reals. Okay, they're all here. And I peopled it with my favorite people, with whom I can identify very well, high school teachers from Oklahoma, because high school teacher from Oklahoma, and filled it with wine, women, and weed. Probably some, I think there's some cheese too. There's probably cheese in there too. But that's how Into the Mist came into being. And I am just finishing right now Out of the Dawn, the sequel, which is even way crazier than Into the Mist. I love it though. My editor was just checking on me the other day, and I told her, I think I like this book better than Into the Mist. And I really loved Into the Mist. So yeah, it's real crazy and it's really good. I'm enjoying it. And as soon as I got into the book, I found that zone again. And then as soon as I was done with Into the Mist, I could go right back and catch up my deadlines, and haven't had the existential dread since. Gave up the cheese again. And 20-ish pounds the cheese made me gain. Didn't give up the wine, didn't give up the weed, never will. So there you have it. There you have it. Okay. The story of Into the Mist. So when you read that it's a feminist treatise, no, girl, it's not. What it is what helped me escape, and what I hope will help you escape. And even though it is an apocalypse book, and there's a lot of death, the death count's real high, and it's real gross too. Even though I think it'll make you laugh. I think it's going to make you laugh. Okay, I think you're going to have a good time reading it. I certainly had a good time writing it, and it got me out of all of that was going on. So there you have it. Did you expect that? You didn't expect that, right?
No, not at all. So aside from wine, women, and cheese, what other weeds and weed? Wine, women, weed, cheese.
Yes.
Wine, women, weed, cheese. Yes. WWC.
Yeah.
Other than those, what else of like research did you do for the book?
Well, Kristen, who was also isolating, came over, and we went to the Painted Hills, I went to the Painted Hills with my assistant, Sabine, then. And and she was also isolating, of course. We did all the outside things. Went to the Painted Hills. I had not been, and holy crap, they're beautiful. It was, if you guys are ever in northeastern Oregon, north central Oregon, mostly central Oregon, I guess. I have to look at the map again. It's well worth the trip. They're so beautiful. That and John Day fossil beds, which is where my people end up, and almost all of the second book set. We went to Madras. We went to all the places. Timberline. Went to all the places in the book. And then I'm prior service and Air Force. I was active duty Air Force when I was younger, and I worked at the communications center, and I had a massive clearance and everything. So I already knew about bombs that were not nuclear, but that were built to destroy people in particular. Ooh. So I used a lot of my knowledge from that to create the bombs. But as you'll see, especially as we get into the second book, there's also a very pagan, very goddess-like element about this apocalypse that happens. Mother Earth wakes up, basically.
Ooh.
And, and since I've been a pagan for decades after decades, I didn't need to do much more research about that part.
You're like, I got this research already.
I got that part.
All right, let's go ahead and start cracking to our audience questions. Reminder for everyone, if you haven't yet submitted a question, you want to do that, you can go ahead and do that now. First off, we have, what do you find to be the hardest part of the writing process?
Oh, that's easy. No, this part isn't easy. It's outlining. Man, I hate outlining. I never used to do it. And after I wrote myself into plot corners and had to do rewrites, I realized I had to do some kind of outlining. So I started by doing very loose outlining, like literally writing myself a letter about what was going to happen in the book, because it looked a lot less like outlining to me to do that. But then, The House of Night Kristen didn't do any of the writing with me. She was my editor. But she and I have since written several books together. As most recently, our Sisters of Salem trilogy, Spells, Trouble, and Omens Bite are out right now, and Hexy will come out in January. When we first started writing together on a couple previous series, we realized very quickly that we had to take a step back and do some serious outlining because, as Kristen calls it, I go rogue. My characters do stuff that I don't plan for them to do. And if I'm not working off a strict outline, I will like blow up our whole plot because Kristen and I choose characters as we see them. So like in Sisters of Salem, I wrote all of Mercy and she wrote all of Hunter. And then we also divided up the other point of view characters. But so we'd go back and forth. She'd write a chapter from Hunter's point of view, and then it'd come to me and I'd write from Mercy's point of view. And I was supposed to have Mercy do certain things. Well, sometimes Mercy just did other shit. And so if I wasn't writing off a strict outline, I'd just be like, okay, Mercy can just do this. And it really messed us up. So what we started doing was, and we do it now for every book, we brainstorm the books and then we outline literally chapter by chapter. We even write dialogue in our outline. Our outlines take us weeks to do. But once that's done, the process is so much easier. And Kristen's really good at it too. So from that experience, I learned that it makes my life a whole lot easier if even on the books I write by myself, I outline. So now I outline, but I hate like every moment of it. I cannot stand it. I would rather write 250,000 words than outline one book. I loathe it. And I usually ask Kristen for help too, because she's awesome at it. But that's my most hated part is the outlining.
Do you remember the last book that you didn't outline for? And then you're like, oh my gosh, I really wrote myself into a corner. Okay, I got to start doing this.
Yeah, it was Tales of a New World. Moon Chosen, Warrior, Wind Rider, and I just, Earth Called is going to be published in the spring of 2023. The very first book, Moon Chosen, I knew it was going to be a big fantasy series, and they're fat. Those books are like, they come in at like 160,000 words, and I got about 3/4 the way through that first book, and I was like, whoa, wait, no, you can't do that. That like messes up what's going to happen in the next book. And so I had to stop and go back. And actually, Kristen helped me. I had to stop and go back. Kristen had to read what I'd written. And then we sat down and she was like, she calls me Phyllis. Okay. Especially when she's annoyed. Phyllis, oh, no. You have to start outlining from the beginning. So I outline from the beginning now.
Oh my gosh. And I've heard of authors who have like done crazy outlines to the point of like having a PowerPoint presentation pretty much. But I never heard of an author writing themselves a future letter. Dear future me, this is how the book should be.
I do. I write letters to myself. I'm like, so because usually I get the beginning scene and the ending scene. And then I usually get a few scenes in between that I really look forward to writing. Mm-hmm. And the rest of it, my characters usually just carry the plot through. But sometimes, my characters don't do this. Okay, beginning here, story arc, conclusion. My characters don't do that. My characters do this. Conclusion. So I have to rein them in. I have to rein them in and make them stop being crazy. Well, a little bit stop being crazy. But
I was gonna say, like, the people tune in for the crazy, so.
Yeah, well, it's still real crazy. It always will be. It's just I know the crazy now.
You're aware of the crazy.
Aware of the character crazy, yeah.
What is your favorite detail about the world? The thing you were most excited to include in this book?
I think that, and it happens more in book 2. Mm-hmm. I think it's the element of the awakening of the old gods and goddesses.
Ooh.
I think that's the coolest. Because I'm super pagan, and so's my heroine, Mercury. She's like the main point of view character. she is super pagan too, and also from Tulsa, and was a teacher. Could be kind of similar. Actually, all the teachers are very similar, not to each other, but I have known all these teachers. And they're not this. It's not the same names though, you guys. So you can't be like, ooh, who taught at Broken Arrow South Intermediate High School with her name? No, I learned that lesson from House of Night. Don't actually name them who they are. But here she is, this Tulsa teacher who's been a pagan, and had fun with her rituals, and cast circles and draw down the moon, and Beltane fun. And then all of a sudden, stuff that she has believed her whole life starts like manifesting. And to me, that's a really cool aspect of the world, because I would really like that. So.
Oh, definitely.
I just like to entertain myself. My God, you guys.
Yeah, again, you wrote the book that you wish, you wanted to read. So that totally makes sense. Speaking of characters, were there any characters that grew or diminished in importance from previous drafts to the final?
Yes, whoever asked that, that's a really smart question. It's a really good question too. Yes, absolutely. Karen is a major example of this. I planned on, and I'll be real vague about this so you guys can kind of find it in the book, and if you've already read it, you know what I'm talking about, but I won't give away too much. Karen, I planned on Karen dying at Timberline. Well, she wouldn't die at Timberline, but from Timberline, when they're still at Timberline, my teachers, after the bombs have dropped and they come back to Timberline, there is a teenage character who gets abandoned by her mother. And when her mother leaves Timberline, originally in my letter to myself, I had planned to have Karen leave with her. I can't remember the reasoning, but it was something you guys would have believed. And then when you read the book, you'll see that the night before this happens, Karen and the rest of my core group are together in one hotel, like lodge suite in Timberline, and they're all like bonding the first night of this apocalypse. And Karen has a glass of wine, and I did not plan this. She started kind of revealing a little bit about who she really is and about her past. And when that happened, she became so much more interesting to me. And I was like, oh, I don't think I want to kill her. And so she did not leave. And although I do kill characters I don't want to kill, she didn't leave with them. And she has actually evolved to, especially in book 2, she is one of my very favorite characters now. And I could not stand her at the beginning, but because she represents all of the narrow-minded, hypocritical, completely over-the-top evangelical Christians that I was surrounded by in Tulsa, or anyone who's surrounded by in the Bible Belt, who don't have any tolerance for anyone who doesn't look, act, sound, and church just like them. And so I disliked her intensely at the beginning, and ended up by the end of book 1, I really like her, but by the end of book 2, I would be her friend. I really like this woman. Her journey is very interesting. I think you guys will like it too.
It's always wonderful when a character surprises you in a good way. Like because I've heard that plenty of times doing author events from authors, is that the characters will talk to you and they'll decide, like, actually, I want to do this. So it's great when they do something that you can enjoy and the readership can enjoy.
Yeah, when Karen says, I did not plan Karen to say this, but when Karen says that she wanted to dance, she wanted to be a ballerina, but her father told her that not only was she not pretty enough or good enough, but that wasn't a proper job for a woman. That wasn't a proper career. When she said that, I really started to know her, and then I began to empathize with her, and it changed her whole trajectory.
All right, this next one is probably going to be a little hard one to dance. They say, my book is on its way, but is there a point into the mist that you are excited for us/me to read?
Who's the me? Is it someone I know? Do I know you? Me
It
person?
is Hannah Casey.
Hannah from Hawaii, Hannah? My Hannah?
I don't know.
Well, my Hannah, which I believe it is. Yeah, I think you guys are really going to like, well, I think you guys will like my favorite scene, especially
Hannah
with my
says yes.
Hannah.
Hannah says it's me.
Hi, Hannah. Hannah, I'm going to check on your book too and make sure that it's on its way to you through Annie Bloom's and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that I've mentioned maybe before in our Kristen and I have a website that's a subscription website, and part of the top tier subscription, not prescription, okay, but subscription is that we have a monthly live stream, and so and Hannah's part of that. So we talk a lot about what I'm writing, what Kristen's writing, and behind the scenes stuff. And so I might have mentioned some of this before, but I really like the scene in Madras at the festival because, and I did this on purpose, it reminds me of the scene in Romancing the Stone when they dance, when Michael Douglas and why did I lose her name? Romancing the Stone. The Joan Wilder character. Help, you guys. I can't read what you're saying, but Kathleen Turner. That's it. The Joan Wilder character and Michael Douglas. And I can't remember his name. But they were at the festival and they were dancing. I thought about that the whole time. It's not, I mean, if I hadn't told you that, you probably wouldn't see the similarities. But now that I told you, even though they mention it, she talks about Romancing the Stone, my heroine does. But that scene was a lot of fun for me. And then what happens right afterwards, too, is like it explodes. Not Madras doesn't explode, but the plot goes. So that was fun.
All right, everyone, you better get ready if you haven't read it yet. Tune in for that scene. All right. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, Hannah.
I like this one. Do you listen to music when you write? And if so, what type of music?
Yeah, I do. but okay, I listen. Okay, I can't ever listen to anything with words. Even words in another language. Usually, my mind will start trying to pick out words I know in it. And I always have company when I'm writing. I always have my 4 Scotty dogs are like sleeping. They're helping me, right? And my Maine Coon is usually on her perch too. Aww. So I have the YouTube dog music channel the whole time. The sleepy YouTube dog music channel, and okay. I have my. Did you not know about this channel? Your dog.
I have questions, but I'll let you continue to discuss this. I have questions when you're done about this dog channel. Go ahead.
A lot of times, the sleepy dog, the fireworks. This will calm your dog and make them sleep, and then sleep through fireworks and everything too. That'll be on, and usually on the screen as it's playing, and they play for like. Dude, you don't know about this? Okay, they play for like from 3 hours to 24 hours worth of music. I usually have the ones on, they're like 8 to 14 hours, though. And because they have really good pictures, too. And so I have my manuscript up. It's like this, right? And then the dog channel is a little bit bigger. The picture is a little bit bigger than my manuscript. So as I'm writing, it'll change pictures. And I know some of them so well that I'll have to move the manuscript out of the way and be like, oh my God, that puppy's so cute. And then move it back. But yeah, I listen to dog sleep music. It doesn't put me to sleep, it puts them to sleep.
So is this like on YouTube?
Mm-hmm. Just Google YouTube dog sleep music. Yeah, it's great. You can subscribe and everything.
Is it anything like the lo-fi hip hop music? The lo-fi girl one that's... No, you've not heard of Lo-Fi Girl? Okay.
No, it's like real. It's all orchestral.
Okay. Oh.
There's no words to it ever, and it's just dogs, I'm telling you, the dogs are like sleep, snoring, the whole deal. But no, it's real relaxing, and it's kind of like white noise to me, and I like white noise, so
wonderful.
that's what that's what I listen to. I realize that people, even Kristen like makes up. She has like soundtracks, and she has playlists and stuff that she listens to while she writes. I can't do it. It always creeps into the picture in my head. But things without words I can listen to as long as they're kind of dog sleep music-ish.
Yeah, I'm so surprised that it's become like a bigger thing that authors will have playlists that they'll like publish, like, oh, this is my playlist when you're
Yeah.
reading my book. Like, oh yeah, this will time with this. I'm like, oh, that is such an interesting like additional element to include, not just like what they listen to while reading, but this is what they recommend you listen to in order to get like a really good like accompaniment with the book. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, mine would be so boring. Okay, it's dog sleep music.
From what people say in the chat, it's not that boring. They love apparently the dog channel.
You guys love the dog too? I love the dog sleep music channel.
All right. Oh, I like this one. I can't wait to hear your answer. What's the strangest thing you have had to research for a book, or for this book, or any other book, I guess?
Oh my God.
Right.
Well, this book in particular, I'm thinking I just looked up something the other night that I thought, man, if the FBI is watching my
See, I'm always
I'm in
afraid
so
for
much-
you authors if the FBI are, because they're like murder,
Like-
murder. Like, how do you do open a can of cheese? I don't know. So they must be like,
Yeah.
oh, obviously this must be an author. I hope it's an author.
right? Please let it be an author. I researched all sorts of crazy things for Into the Dawn and Out of the Mist. No, Into the Mist and Out of the Dawn. Sorry. I had to learn a bunch of like Adobe brickmaking stuff. And at first I was just telling Kristen this today. I wasted so much time because I assumed that you had to fire Adobe bricks in a kiln. I didn't look it up. I just assumed. Okay. So I wasted an inordinate amount of time researching how to make a kiln without any modern anything,
Okay.
survivalist kiln things. And then I was like, man, they're gonna have to make because I'm having they build their Adobe homes like in the cliffside, like yeah, ancient Americans did in New Mexico, right?
Yeah.
But so I thought they were gonna have to make a bunch of kilns and all this stuff. I did all this research and about kilns. And then I was like, okay, let me make sure that I have my mixture right. Because I knew how to make Adobe bricks already. Sand, mud, sand, dirt, water, and you can put straw and stuff in there too that makes it stronger. I knew the basics of that. Okay, you don't friggin' have to fire Adobe bricks to make them work. Okay, you just need to dry them in the sun. It's in the Oregon high desert. There's plenty of sun. I wasted so much time doing that, but I could make a damn kiln. Okay, I could build a kiln. I did a bunch of that. I also found out about Dakota fire holes. So if another apocalypse happens and I have to make a Dakota fire hole to bake things underground, I can do that. They're also very much like Celtic underground ovens too. Ancient Celts used to do it too. So I did. There is a death that happens in book 2 that is not an accidental death, nor is it caused by the mist or anything. And I had to research that what the body would look like after that death. That was real gross.
Oh,
okay?
I can only imagine.
I was really worried about that. I also had to find out what exactly leeches like to do, what kills them, how they move in the water and out of the water. And I also had to have a bunch of mosquito swarm information. It's real gross, you guys.
Yeah, and I feel for you and other authors who either one research and it turns out, oh, my research is incorrect, I can't use it, or the particular part of the book that you maybe researched for is like, oh yeah, we're gonna cut that out.
Oh yeah,
I can only imagine. Hours for a section, like, nope, not happening.
Like, never mind. Ugh.
Oh gosh. All right. Do you typically have a ritual, or do you do anything special when you're when you're getting ready to write for the day?
Yes, I write. Well, there's a caveat to this. If I have to, I can write anywhere. Um, I I don't like sound except for the dog sleep channel. I don't like sound bothering me. But if I have to, I can. I used to write. There was a 6-minute passing period between classes when I taught high school, and I used to write in that 6 minutes. So I can write anywhere, but now I don't have to do that. I have this great office that's a whole floor of my house, and I always write on a tread desk. So I walk and write. I walk about 1 mile an hour, by the way, and write. So towards the end of the book, when I'm writing for like 12 hours, I'm always like, why does my ass hurt so bad? I'm like, oh yeah, you walked 12 miles last night. I always write at night. I don't start writing until about 8, unless I'm at the very end of a book, and then I can't stay away from it. So I usually start in the afternoon when I'm at the very end of a book. But towards the end of a book, I do huge writing marathons. Like at the beginning, if I'm writing I can barely get in 4 hours. And after 4 hours, my brain is fried at the beginning of a book. I can maybe write 5 pages. And by the end of a book, I am averaging between 10 and 20 pages a night. And I just get to a point where I decide, pardon my language, but this is real. Okay. I say, I'm finishing this fucking book this weekend.
Yes.
It's going to be done by Monday. And that's it. And like, last time I did that, I wrote 21 pages, all in one sitting, standing, walking. I mean, I have, you know what? Next, I'm going to have to take a picture of it. I will take a picture of it and post it on the Facebook and the Twitter.
Yes.
I'm not on Insta. Kristen's on Insta. I'm not on Insta. But I have this candle holder it's Art Deco, and it's silver. And it's this really pretty woman, and she's holding up like this, and it's the candle she's holding.
Ooh, cool.
But it's so covered with wax that you cannot see the woman at all. It's just a great big giant drip thing. I'll tag Mysterious Galaxy.
Oh my goodness.
Please
do. My goodness.
Oh man, it's so cool. I light that candle, and they drip, and it's all different colors too. And it gets on my floor too, which is bad sometimes. But I light that candle. I turn on I have a Superman lava lamp. I turn on my Superman lava lamp. I light my little tea lights. I have all my crystals and all my pagany witchy stuff all around me. And then I press start and start walking, reset it so I know how many miles I walk. And that's my ritual. And then the dogs and the dog sleep channel. I used to, in the beginning of my career, pour myself a glass of wine and have a glass of wine while I'm writing. But no, because it's not a glass of wine. I almost wrote myself into alcoholism at the beginning of my career. Because I have this habit from teaching that, like, now I have a glass of water here, that when I speak or when I do anything teacher-like, which is, writing or, speaking, that kind of stuff, I always have something to drink. And I try to drink a gallon of water a day. So when I would bring a glass of wine down where I'm writing, it's the habit. I just drink as a habit. And it would end up like after 4 or 5 hours of writing, I'd stand up and be like, whoa, you were shit-faced. You drank that entire bottle of wine. Stop that. It was like the teas. Okay. I had to stop it. And so I have either water or I'm a big tea snob. So I have my loose leaf teas, all types of loose leaf teas. But I have to cut myself off from caffeine around 10 p.m. or else I won't go to sleep at all. So.
Oh, that's fair.
Those are my rituals.
I wonder if there's any point that we can like look at your past books and wonder, is this like your early books? And then wonder, is this the wine period right here? Is this when the wine is going on?
Yeah, I can tell you that for sure. There were the Partholon books and several of the Goddess Summoning books. I had stopped by the time I got to the House of Night because I was too far into my writing career. But yeah, and I know which ones they are because what did I do? Oh, the Partholon books were recorded several years after they were first published. They came out as audiobooks. And I got one of my audio heroes, Lorelei King. I asked the audio company if they could get her to read, and she did. She voiced Divine by Mistake, by Choice, and by Blood. So when Lorelei voiced them, I loved her so much. And I hadn't read those books in I'd written them more than a decade before. So I hadn't read them for ages. So I thought, you know what? And I love audiobooks. I'm listening to one right now. I'm gonna listen to it again. Okay. They were real good. I made myself laugh a lot, and I did not remember a whole bunch of that shit. That was the wine period. It was like I'm reading it and I'm like, ooh, I wonder what's going to happen next.
Wait a minute, I'm writing this.
Wait, did I write this?
Oh, gosh. That is so fun.
That's why it was the wine period. Yeah.
What's your favorite underappreciated novel or series?
Tanith Lee, The Silver Medal Lover. Tanith Lee's no longer with us, sadly. The Silver Medal Lover was published in the early 80s. It's YA, before there was a YA genre. It's coming of age and set in a future world. And have you ever read it?
I haven't, no. I haven't even heard of it.
The Silver Medal Lover. It is one of my all-time favorite books. Also, Susan Kay, she wrote Phantom. And Phantom, this is the story of her story of Phantom of the Opera. And she took Gaston Leroux's original novel, published in 1912 in France. She took it, and she took Andrew Lloyd Webber's stage play, and she mushed them kind of together. And then, but from doing that, she figured out her version of how this man was created. And so you get to know Phantom from the time he was born on. And I think it's a vastly unappreciated book. It's so good. So good. I used to teach a big unit on Phantom Opera when I was teaching high school. And that's why I know the days and the authors and all that kind of stuff about that. I don't have an amazing memory about that stuff, but I love that. I love that book. And I think everyone should read Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451, especially with what's going on politically in America today.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yep.
Which one of your characters would you want to hang out with the most from all your books?
From all my books?
I'm going to extend it to all your books just because I'm like, you know what? Why not?
Right? Well, Grandma Redbird, I would love to hang out with Grandma Redbird because she's just awesome. I'd like to hang out with her. Shannon from my Partholon books is basically a 30-something-year-old version of me, because Divine by Mistake was the first book that I ever had published under the name Goddess by Mistake, or the title Goddess by Mistake. And I did not know how, I didn't really understand how to write a main character who wasn't me yet. So I just basically took myself on an adventure. And so it'd be fun to hang out with her because she's in this cool world that I took all these pieces of our world that I like the best, and I made them into one world in Partholon. And then also I really like her husband/lover, who's a shape-shifting centaur, Clanfenton. I might try to steal him though, so.
So.
No, Shannon would never mind. Shannon would be hip to that because we're too much alike. So.
All right, we are just about out of time, but I think this is going to be a good one to leave at.
Okay.
What's on your TBR pile? What's on your to be read pile?
Oh man.
Right?
It's in the other room. It's just in the other room. A lot. I just finished Scarlett St. Clair's, her brand new YA. What is it? When Stars Come Out? Under the Stars? It has stars in the title. I'm sorry, Scarlett. I just finished that. It was fantastic. And I'm reading Dean Koontz. I'm listening to Dean Koontz's latest release. I'm actually, my TBR pile right now, I have all of Anne Rice's mummy books that I read. The first book, the Ramses the Great, I read it when it first came out many, many years ago. And since losing Anne, I decided I want to reread it. And when I did that, I knew that there was a sequel, and I don't think I ever read it. So I grabbed it. And then there was another one that she wrote with Christopher, with her awesome son. And I grabbed all those. So those are waiting on my TBR pile as soon as I get done with Kuntz's book. But I usually read like 2 or 3 books at a time anyway, and I always listen to one. So,
When Stars Come Out, by the way, it's called When Stars Come Out.
When Stars Come Out. And what is the word prey is in it? Prey, prey. It's a YA by an awesome young woman of color.
Oh,
I think it's just been picked up.
Oh my God, Beasts of Prey.
Yes, I'm in the middle of that.
Oh yeah, we just had We just had her event, Ayana Gray.
Oh yeah, she's fantastic, isn't she? What a lovely young woman. And this book is fabulous. I'm loving her book. I have a ton of them. But
I mean,
I'm always reading like 3 at a time. So.
Oh my gosh, is it ever a point that you accidentally mix plot points, or you're just able to compartmentalize them? I can't talk. Just keep them separate. Thank you. I can't say the word. Can you keep them separate?
Oh,
in your brain?
You mean when I'm reading someone? Can I mush it in? Do I ever accidentally?
Yeah, when you're reading 3 different books at the same time.
No, because you mean the books or what I'm writing?
Yeah, when you're reading like 3 different books at the same time.
No, because they all have different voices. They all have different voices. So, and also like I have them in different places too. One, I'm listening to a book in my car all the time, and then I always read. It's how I shut my mind off before I go to sleep. I always have one on my bedside table, and then I have one out in the living room. So it's like I'm physically in different places, so it's easy to be mentally in different places. And then I also never pull other people's plots into my books, because my books are always they're always so like set in my mind. They're a movie that goes in my mind, and other movies don't encroach on that. So
wonderful. Oh my gosh, PC, I am so glad we were able to do something for your event. We miss you in person. Next time, hopefully, if the world is a little bit better and gas prices aren't crazy and et cetera, we would love to have you.
I would love to come back. But thank you, everyone. I appreciate you so very, very much. And I hope you enjoy this book.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. Again, if you haven't yet got your copy, you can order them through Mysterious Galaxy. We still have signed book plates while supplies last. Just maybe make sure in the order comments, remind us, include your book plate just in case. And if you missed some of the event, you can always rewatch this on the same link you got it, or in the future on YouTube if you're not watching this on YouTube already. All right. Thank you, PC. And I'm so glad to have you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye, guys. I appreciate you.
Bye, everyone.